Namaskar. Welcome to Conversations with Rakesh. I have a very nice question today. Rakesh, in my performance review, I have been told by my boss that I need to be crisper in my communication. I think I'm quite good in speaking. In fact, I'm invited to meetings and give presentations, but I am not sure if I could understand what this means, crisper in my communication. I even asked him, and he said that be crisper in your communication, and I probably just have given up. So I wanted to ask you, what do you make out of this feedback? And if you can explain it to me, what are your suggestions on how I can be crisp in my communication? Um, I think I understand what the situation is because, see, I run a company. I've told this to my colleagues also. And when I was working in Wipro, Intel, Qualcomm, and even at an educational college at IIM Bangalore as the head of alumni, I've heard this being told to me by my bosses. Ki yaar, be crisper in your communication. And I'll tell you the secret. I think what this feedback really means is that your boss doesn't have time, and probably you are taking more time to communicate something that should not take that much of time. So it's a time issue. And this is where there is a technique I would suggest that you really focus on. And this is not about oratory or speaking in front of people or anything else. It's a concept, and the concept has to be applied in all kinds of communication. And this really helps when you are working with senior people, clients, managers, and as you grow up in the organization, variety of senior people, because it's a business problem and we are communicating to solve the business. So the key point you need to remember is in scenarios like this, when you are talking to your boss or customers or senior people, time is the currency and time is very, very less. And if your communication doesn't fit the boss's timelines, that means I have few seconds or maybe 30, 40 seconds for you. I think that's where the communication is breaks down, and that's where you get this kind of a comment. It's more like a comment. Here, be crisp in your communication. And I'll tell you a simple example, very, very simple. And I've seen this so commonly in many classrooms. Sometimes I ask my learners to just talk about something they like, very simple. And I'm trying to test them how quickly they respond to the question. So the question is something very simple. What's your favorite movie? And sometimes people drag on their answers. Like, for example, the answer is just one word. My favorite movie is X. That's it. But then they'll add five, six sentences. The sentences could be, it depends what mood I'm in, or it depends how bad the day is. And based on that, I either go there. And by the time I'm listening and I'm like, boss, I just have a question. What's your favorite movie? And what is the answer? It's a crisp answer. I think that's what you need to focus on. So remember, the feedback is more like a comment. It is just to help you become sharper in your job and help the organization and help yourself. And employees and managers who are very, very sharp and crisp in their communication really add value because काम हो जाता है. Or that's what you need to focus, that you need to move on, get the work done, demonstrate your competence. That's where communication comes. Now, there is one important technique to do this, and that technique was taught when we were in schools, colleges, and now I would request you to focus. That technique is called executive summary. The whole idea of executive summary comes from long research papers, book reviews, and basically an executive summary is that when you have a very complex research paper, you have done a lot of work, 2 years of work, but the person who's reading is a buyer of that research or a manager who will act on that research. They don't have time to read 2 years of research. And it's like 14 pages to 300 pages. Nobody has time. So your job is to give a small paragraph to this person. Mostly it's a decision maker, that here is what this research is, here is what you should know. And that's what you need to focus on. Here is what you should know. Because that information is the currency that you need to tell your managers. Here's what you need to know. Nothing more than that. So now let's come to the question. What does communicating crisply means? It actually means You telling the other person, here is what you need to know in a small, crisp 30-second update. So let's go back to my question. What's your favorite movie? X. Here's what I need to know. That's all. You don't need to do anything else. If the boss calls you up and says, what's going on in that customer problem ABCD, and you have all the information, just practice one or two sentences. It will be done by tonight, because that's what you need to know. Or if it's not going to happen, it will take 4 more days. Call the customer and tell them. So here's what you need to know, as crisp, within 30 seconds, and you're done. So my only request is, this will not come by you practicing oral communication. This will come by you writing things down. So that's why we used to teach executive summaries in classrooms to young learners. And I would encourage all you managers to do that. Practice it. Write a paragraph, make an executive summary out of it. In less than 30 seconds, you should be able to explain and tell the other person. And the only objective is, here's what you need to know. If you can respond to this line in 2-3 sentences, less than 30 seconds, your communication is going to be very, very crisp. Your managers and your clients will become happier with you. And it's nothing but practice. The question could be, a phone call coming from your manager. And the manager would be very upset. Ki yaar, the customer is very upset on this particular problem. That's it. You just need to focus. What do I tell him that he needs to know? And you can just tell him, yeah, I think this is going to drag on for 3 more months and it will cost us so much money more, unless the customer is willing to negotiate. And this sentence is what they will pick. They will now go and fight with the customers, come back. But you need to only focus on, here's what you need to know. If you can focus on this one simple requirement with your bosses, managers, people around you, and try and practice your communication within 30 seconds, as short words and sentences as possible, as executively summarized, your communication is going to get crisper, and it will help you and your managers, and it will help your careers. On that note, stay safe.